Welcome back to The Price of Business. Bill Knapik sitting in for Kevin Price. We are so excited. We are interviewing people from the Inc. 5000 as a continuing series. In the meantime, we have a very special guest. His name is Christopher Regan. He is with B&R Business Solutions. Christopher, thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bill. Good to be on.
It's very exciting to talk with you, sir. For people out there listening, Christopher, tell them about your company and what you do.
Sure. So B&R, I actually founded it back in 2002 with my partner, Pat Benito. And we were originally an organization that focused entirely on everything that Microsoft ever came out with from a product perspective. And we tried to be everything to everyone in the Microsoft space. And within about 3 years of doing that, we realized, you know what, we can't be masters of everything out there. So we focus primarily on something called Microsoft SharePoint. And SharePoint is a collaborative software application that Microsoft makes, and it allows organizations through a web-based interface to better communicate and work together, whether it's within an office or across vast distances, across countries, across the world, basically. And so we've been focused on SharePoint-based solutions now for 11 years, and over the past 3 years, we've expanded out slowly into the cloud space because, everything nowadays is cloud, and a lot of organizations are looking to save money and move their business to the cloud because they no longer want the overhead of having large data centers, buying hardware, keeping servers on site, and even, trying to reduce headcount by not having all the IT staff as well.
This
is what we do day in and day out, SharePoint and cloud-based solutions.
Cloud-based. And one of the things I think just as a regular person, the cloud is kind of mysterious to people and maybe perhaps businesses too, but tell people about when we think about the cloud technology and storing data and or important data, tell people about how secure the cloud is.
Sure. So there is a lot of disparity there. A lot of folks think, if I'm putting my data up in the cloud, someone else is owning that data, they're maintaining it, and that's scary. It's probably not very secure. But I'll tell you, in the majority of situations, probably putting your data up in the cloud is more secure than keeping it within your own organization. And the reason being is that, let's say you go and you use a cloud provider such as Microsoft. Microsoft isn't just going to, throw up a couple firewalls and say, okay, everything's secure. They're going to have an entire team of security professionals that are there working around the clock, monitoring your data, monitoring what's coming in, what's going out, making sure that there's no abnormalities, making sure that, they have all the latest prevention against all the new attacks and such. So they're going to protect you around the clock with this team that you don't have unless you have some huge organization, huge IT group. And so it's kind of like when you do business with your bank. You have online banking, and the same would apply here with the cloud. You have, instead of storing your documents maybe on servers or your local PC, you put them up in the Microsoft cloud. And so Microsoft then secures that data just like your bank would secure your banking information.
So it sounds like you have a team of soldiers out there protecting you, right?
That's exactly it. I mean, and that's probably the biggest draw to the cloud is that, in the good old days before I actually took B&R full time, I was an IT manager for a smaller organization, about 1,000 employees, and we built a data center, and we spent millions of dollars on cooling and electric and all the server hardware, and we had to maintain making sure things didn't break down all the time, and just made massive investments in this infrastructure. And nowadays, instead of making that investment internally, instead you push your stuff up to the cloud and let other folks deal with it. Why handle that 24/7 support? If something goes down in the middle of the night, now you don't even know about it. Services like Microsoft's Azure or Office 365 or Amazon Web Services, they handle all that behind the scenes. The only time something happened is if they tell you, hey, we had an issue, but we took care of it. And that's what it really brings, it really brings peace of mind to you then because, your data's up there, it's secured, you have 99.9% access to these services, and it just works. And for a lot of small businesses, especially like in our case, it just makes sense. And I was never a big fan of the cloud until 3 4 days before Hurricane Sandy hit here in New Jersey, and we were hosting all of our data internally, including our email, and we had it in basically what I call a server closet in our office here in Jersey. And if the wind blows the wrong way, the power in our office goes out. And so I said, this hurricane's probably coming. Probably not a good idea to have all the business critical data on the server that's going to go down, and we don't know how long it's going to go down for. So over the weekend, just before Hurricane Sandy, we migrated all of our data up to a service called Microsoft Office 365, and they cover our email and collaboration and such. And by Monday morning of the day Sandy hit, we were up in the cloud then. All of our employees were connected via their mobile devices, their laptops and whatnot. And that night then, our office went down, no power, and we didn't have power for 11 days, but our business was able to function. And that's one of the real nice things with the cloud now. You push everything up there, and you just forget about it in terms of, the stability and making sure that things are running. Leave that up to the professionals.
Indeed, and sounds like peace of mind will be had by all, huh?
Exactly. And, and I get it, that we still have, many clients, larger organizations that they're hesitant to make the move up there. They've made these investments in their infrastructure. They have really quality IT professionals that are working within their organizations. And I know the IT guys are thinking, oh, man, am I going to be out of a job if everything moves up there? But there are ways that organizations can slowly move to the cloud, and we call that the hybrid scenario, where you still maintain a lot of your stuff in-house, and then maybe you move certain aspects of your service offerings to the cloud then. And so what we see a lot of times is that, maybe you have an intranet site where you share information with your employees, and that's a very private site. It's all internal, employee consumption only type materials. But then you have certain information that you want to share out with partners or vendors that you trust. And instead of having to open up your network to them and invite them in, which does create some security holes potentially, what you do then is you put that data up into the cloud, and the cloud acts as kind of the middleman or a third-party service in between you and those trusted vendors and those trusted partners. And so you don't need to worry about the security then around that, and your data is secure and your partners can get to it without you having to make an investment in your infrastructure or potentially make your infrastructure less secure.
Also, Christopher, go back, if you would, and tell us a little more about the term that you used at the beginning, SharePoint. And on your website, beautiful website, where you have SharePoint delivered. Tell people again that don't deal with this every day about the SharePoint that's part of your business.
Sure. So SharePoint it's called Microsoft SharePoint Server, and what it is an application that is web-based that allows organizations to better communicate and collaborate. And, that sounds like a bunch of marketing speak. So to break it down a little bit more, what SharePoint is it allows you to have a web-based approach to the way that you communicate within your organization. And so, many individuals, small and larger organizations, are used to sending files via email. So, Bill, you and I want to work on a proposal together. So I will write the Word document, and then I'll send it off to you via email. You'll make some changes to it. Maybe you send it off to someone else, and then they send it back to me, and I make some changes. And before you know it, we have 30 different emails flying around with this one document, and it's hard to keep track of. And so SharePoint basically provides us with a centralized place where we can have one single golden copy of that document that we all work off of together. And it maintains the version history of that document so we can see who changed what and when they changed that. And then if needed, we could apply different policies to it to make sure that it's retained for a certain period of time. If we're subject to, let's say, Sarbanes-Oxley or other, let's say, SEC requirements, IRS requirements, whatever it is, we can apply that to the document. And then the other thing is all these documents that we put up into SharePoint are fully searchable. So, when you put documents on your local PC, let's say you have a file share somewhere, you can have thousands of documents, and you have to dig through and try and find those documents. Well, now with them all up in SharePoint has a really robust search engine, basically a Google type search engine of sorts, and it allows you to search through all those documents and very easily find them. And so what we find is by storing your documents in SharePoint, by leveraging its search and many of the other features that it has, it really makes you more efficient and reduces the time that it takes you to find documents and find the content that you're looking for all the time. And so hopefully it saves you a few minutes a day, and before you know it, if you're saving even 10 minutes a day, by the end of the week, you've almost saved an hour, and over the course of a year, maybe you saved a week or two in time in just trying to find content. And so that's just one example with SharePoint is with document management, but overall content management within the organization. Within our organization, we keep track in SharePoint of when our clients have contracts coming up for renewal. We also in there post information for our employees about news and events and, let's say, benefits offerings and such. And it's just a way to really rally people or bring people together into one place and then securely allow them to access what they should have access to. And, we've worked with companies like Saks Fifth Avenue, Hess Oil, Coca-Cola, and we've built different types of SharePoint sites for them, all based on their needs. And it really comes down to what type of business problems or efficiency problems are you having right now. And so we try and resolve them with SharePoint. Just to give you an example, we have one client, a very large real estate firm here in New York City, and they had a problem where they couldn't find any of their key records being legal contracts that have been executed. And, they had them on all different types of web-based systems. They had them on file shares. They had them on local PCs. And a lot of the times they had them in boxes that were sitting at people's desks or in people's filing cabinets. And so we actually developed a system within SharePoint called Record Center, and it is a place for all their records to go. And so when users upload the records to Record Center, they assign certain information to that record. What's its title, what type of document is it, when was it executed, who executed it.
Wow.
If it was a lease, who's on the lease, and so on and so forth.
Well,
and all that information then is completely searchable, and they know that they have one core system that they go to now to find that information.
Well,
And in some cases, with some of our clients, with things like this Record Center, we can tie workflows to it. So when something gets uploaded, it needs to go through an approval process before it's actually added to the Record Center.
Well, Christopher, we have to end the segment here, but please tell people how they can reach you and the website, please.
Sure, absolutely. So they can reach me directly. My phone number, office number, I should say, is 732-813-0600, and our website is www.b&r.solutions.com, and that's b&rsolutions.com.
B&R. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christopher Regan. Thank you, Christopher, for being on the show. We're going to take a short break and come right back with even more on The Price of Business. Your host today, Bill Knapik. Stay tuned for even more.